In July 2025, Porsche's CEO Oliver Blume sent an internal letter that stunned the financial world. The business model that served us for decades is no longer effective. A few hours later, Porsche shares plummeted. The quarterly report revealed an unbelievable figure. Profits down 96%, nearly €1 billion evaporated in just 3 months. A brand that was once Germany's cash cow, worth over $80 billion, is now on the brink of restructuring. What really happened inside that machine? The financial world says Porsche failed because of electric cars, but our investigation reveals a much deeper story. From internal documents and secret Volkswagen reports to the accounts of owners who spent $200,000 on a Taycan, a different picture begins to emerge. Arrogance, greed, and a growing disconnect between the brand and its buyers. So what caused a German engineering icon, once considered the world's most perfect machine, to fall into chaos in just a few years? This is the rise and fall of Porsche, where the glory of speed collides with the limits of pride. In the mid-1960s, in a world dominated by steel and speed in automobiles, Porsche chose a different path. They didn't just build engines, they built emotion. A 911 doesn't need a logo for people to recognize it. Just hearing the distinctive deep brap of the engine, car enthusiasts know that's the sound of pure joy. For decades, Porsche has been seen as a brand that will never disappear, because every press of the accelerator evokes something primal within us, the instinct to conquer, a passion for speed, and a feeling of truly living. A fan once exclaimed, "You don't drive a Porsche, you feel it." Porsche doesn't sell cars, they sell the experience of living inside a machine with a soul. But then, as the 21st century dawned and the sounds of engines were gradually replaced by the whir of electricity, a question quietly echoed through the community. What happens when a brand built on emotion tries to become silent? But what happens when a brand built on emotion tries to go electric? In the early 2000s, Porsche entered a golden era. From a purely sports car manufacturer, they expanded into SUVs and sedans. The arrival of the Cayenne, the first SUV to bear the Porsche logo, stunned the entire industry. Loyal fans protested and the press mocked. Porsche has sold its soul to chase sales, but the results silenced everyone. The Cayenne became a global hit, tripling Porsche's sales and boosting profits to 18%, a level many corporations could only dream of. Along with the Macan, Porsche transformed itself from a niche brand into a mass luxury empire where passion and money go hand in hand. Amidst that peak, CEO Oliver Blume emerged, a leader with a green vision. He declared, "The future of Porsche is electrification, soul electrified, the soul reborn with clean energy." The ambition is very clear. By 2025, 50% of vehicles will be electric. By 2030, 80% will have no internal combustion engines at all. On paper, it was a perfect plan. Tesla was on the rise. The world was shifting toward green energy, and investors love sustainable stories. But something is off. While the leadership talks about the future, Porsche fans just want to hold on to the present. They don't oppose progress, but they fear losing the sound, feel, and soul, the very things that have kept them connected for decades. When the leaders started talking about the future, the fans just wanted to hold on to the present. In 2019, Porsche announced the Taycan, the first electric car in the company's history. The launch was organized like a religious ceremony. Light, music, cheers. The Taycan isn't just a car, it's a statement. We will beat Tesla with the soul of Porsche. Media raves, accelerates from 0 to 60% in just 2.8 seconds. Charge from 5% to 80% in 22 minutes. Aerodynamic curve design down to the smallest detail. Blume describes it. This is a pure sports car. The only difference is that it breathes electricity. The whole world admires it. Porsche seems to have proven that speed can be green. But behind the stage lights, small cracks began to appear. An anonymous engineer recounted, "We were asked to make the fastest electric car, but no one asked if it would still feel like a Porsche." Customers quickly discovered the Taycan is powerful, smooth, and sophisticated, but it lacks the intangible something they once loved. One customer expressed, "I hear the silence, but I don't feel the soul." Porsche calls it soul electrified, but for many it's like the soul has been unplugged. As the event lights dimmed and the applause faded into silence, Porsche seemed to usher in a new era, one that was both glorious and dangerous. An era where every business decision can be traded for fan loyalty. The question is, are they stepping into the future, or are they leaving themselves behind? And then, the first signs of the breakdown began to appear. In its early days, the Taycan was a symbol of the future, accelerating like a rocket, charging quickly, and with a design like wind sculpture. But in the silence of the electric motor, other sounds began to speak. The warning bell, the labored breathing of the air conditioner fan, the sound of hands touching the door handle without response. When I received it, it opened smoothly, like in a movie. A few months later, there were days when it wouldn't open, no matter how many times I pressed. Sometimes the air conditioner turns off mid-journey. That's no longer a review, it's a user's patient diary. The number is dry, but it becomes a very concrete image. 27,000 Taycans are being recalled. Imagine a packed stadium, with each seat representing a car that needs its electrical system checked. The cost of replacing the battery is up to $50,000, the same as a small suburban apartment. The wait time for repairs can be 3 months. An entire season, enough to change 2 sets of tires, but the car is still on the lift. My $200,000 car spends more time in the shop than in the garage. When that phrase appeared repeatedly in forums, the crack was no longer a personal incident. It became a systemic signal. And that's not all. If technical errors can be fixed, then the communication gap is the wound that's difficult to heal. The owner complained about the complicated warranty process, the dealership lacking spare parts, and technicians waiting for remote guidance. An ecosystem accustomed to sophisticated mechanics suddenly struggles with software and high-voltage batteries. In business language, ownership costs increase, service experience decreases, and the risk of downtime swells. In the language of fans, it's fast, but is it still a Porsche? Perhaps the issue isn't whether the Taycan can fail. Every new product has its teething problems. The problem lies in how the brand responds to the voice of the community, those who have loved Porsche long enough to recognize what is disappearing. A price increase, just a few $1,000s on paper, became the final straw when placed alongside a string of service inconveniences. Resale value depreciates quickly. A car that was once a wall poster dream is now a spreadsheet worry. The clicks transition from a deposit to a lament. Each small piece of content on social media adds up to a downward emotional graph. If you are a brand owner, would you choose to fix the car first or rebuild trust first? If you are a user, how much are you willing to trade the roar for silence, and at what cost? Please share your perspective, because sometimes the market's answer lies in the comments section, not in the boardroom. But these are only small cracks, the first ripples. Before them, a large storm was forming. Unfortunately, Porsche didn't realize this. Or even if they did realize, they wouldn't be able to take strong action in a timely manner. And now let's move on to big rise before collapse, when the peak of illusion leads straight to freefall. After some initial setbacks, it seems Porsche has turned things around. But at the pinnacle of glory, sometimes, we stand closest to the abyss. In 2023, Porsche announced figures that stunned the entire industry. 320,000 vehicles sold, operating profit exceeding $8 billion, and an 18% profit margin, 3 times higher than the automotive industry average. Analysts call this Europe's perfect money-making machine. A familiar sight in Frankfurt. Blue flashing stock screens, investors shouting, "Bloom did it!" The financial world calls Porsche Volkswagen's crown jewel, while an economic magazine wrote, "A German icon is entering a period of renaissance." Shortly after, Oliver Blume, the ambitious CEO, was promoted to lead the parent company, Volkswagen. That event was like a racer who had just won the Grand Prix being given the right to design the track for the entire next season. Everything seems suspiciously perfect. It's easy to see that Porsche's recovery largely comes from expectations. The market believes in the successful electrochemical story. Investors believe the Taycan will become a Tesla killer, and the media is constantly praising Porsche has proven sports cars can be green. But behind that halo, a hidden reality. Increased sales do not equate to restored trust. Customers return to the showroom, but not to buy more, rather to complain, seek warranty service, or make repairs. Porsche's growth at that time was like an iceberg. The visible part was sparkling. The part hidden beneath was melting. They see the numbers, but not the fatigue of the users. That's the assessment of a market expert. In 2022, Porsche's IPO was successful with a valuation of 78 billion euros, equivalent to the GDP of a small country like Luxembourg. These investment funds see this IPO as Europe's final shining gem. However, an IPO doesn't just bring money, it also brings pressure. Once listed, all numbers must increase. All targets must be higher than the previous quarter. Bloom once said, "We don't just produce cars, we produce trust." But the problem is, trust can also inflate like a stock market bubble. Porsche's financial reports look so perfect that it makes many people start to doubt. A London analyst noted, "This profit margin is too high compared to the industry average. Either they're truly geniuses, or they're living in a delusion." At conferences, Porsche presented its vision of 80% electric vehicles by 2030. The shareholders applauded. The government supports it. But the fans started to fall silent because they understand that every percentage point of growth in that plan is a piece of emotion being cut away. A veteran engineer sighed, "A 911 without the sound of an engine, is it still a Porsche?" However, those voices were drowned out by reports of achievements and news about record profits. The higher they climb, the greater the gap between those who drive Porsches and those who operate them. The company began speaking the language of the market, no longer speaking the language of enthusiasts. It was the end of 2023. Porsche was at the peak of profitability and media attention. And it was also when the cracks from the Taycan began to spread throughout the system. Orders are delayed, warranties are backlogged, and customer complaints are increasing. But stocks still rose as if the market didn't hear the warnings. Bloom confidently stated, "We have entered a new era." He's not wrong. A new era is truly coming, just not the one he was hoping for. And you, what do you think? Can a brand race toward the future while retaining the soul of the past? And if not, what will be sacrificed first? Revenue or trust? The answer came sooner than they expected. When the numbers can no longer hide the truth, Porsche will face the biggest drop in its history. Don't take your eyes off it. In just 12 months, the $80 billion empire once hailed as the jewel of Germany plummeted from grace into the abyss. And that drop wasn't due to the market. It was due to Porsche's own hands. In early 2025, Porsche's financial report stunned investors. Profits plummeted by 96%, from over 4 billion euros to less than 150 million. The stock plummeted over 60%. The market capitalization value evaporated, equivalent to the GDP of a small country. In Wolfsburg, parent company Volkswagen had to bear a loss of 5 billion euros to salvage the supply chain and restructure its EV plans. Inside, a senior employee revealed, "No one thought a brand like Porsche could hit rock bottom so quickly. But when revenue and trust both plummet, all numbers become meaningless." From Germany's money-printing machine, Porsche became a loss-making problem in the hands of Frankfurt analysts. The once shiny showrooms now resemble the exhibition halls of a breathless empire. What's remarkable is that the downfall didn't just come from the books, but from the hearts of those who once loved Porsche the most. On the forums, cold comments began to spread. $130,000 for a 911 that no longer roars. "I dreamed about a Porsche for 20 years, and now I'm just disappointed." They sell their souls for profit. The car owner community calls it the Porsche paradox. As the brand chases perfection, it gets further away from its real customers. The outrage exploded like a domino effect. China, the largest market, sales down 23%. In the US, import duties and maintenance costs push the price of the car over $200,000. In Europe, EV orders are being canceled en masse. Customers aren't just turning away, they're demanding their voices back. A car owner who once owned 7 Porsches said in an interview, "I was once proud to be part of this family. Now I feel like a stranger." When loyal customers feel betrayed, all marketing campaigns become meaningless. But perhaps Porsche's deepest fall cannot be measured in money, but in emotional emptiness. In the world of sports cars, sound is identity. The 911 used to make drivers' hearts race, while the Taycan leaves them speechless. A retired engineer stated bluntly, "We made a perfect car, but too perfect to still have feelings." When silence replaces the roar, Porsche loses something that Tesla, BMW, or Ferrari cannot replicate: soul. That's something data can't measure, reports can't quantify, but customers feel every second. Emotions are what fell before sales. Can a brand survive if it loses trust, the very thing that was once its true driving force? What do you think? Did Porsche fail because of technology, or because they forgot about human emotion? Please leave your comments below, because sometimes it's the users who rewrite the brand story. Amidst the wreckage of faith, Porsche is forced to confront the ultimate question: who are they if they are no longer the emotion the world once loved? And that's where we enter the next part: aftermath and identity crisis. After the financial storm, what Porsche lost wasn't just profits. It was the very answer to the question, who they are. Summer 2025. Porsche factories are operating at a reduced capacity, orders are being canceled, and electric vehicle plans are on hold. CEO Oliver Blume, once hailed as the architect of a new era, stepped down quietly. The board of directors appointed Michael Leiters, the former CEO of McLaren, an engineer with a contrasting philosophy, a return to mechanical emotion. Inside the Stuttgart headquarters, an old poster still hangs: soul electrified. A young employee whispered to the reporter, "We're not sure where that spirit is anymore." Porsche began to look inward and realized that the greatest loss wasn't on the balance sheet, but in the brand identity. Porsche's new board made a bold decision: postpone the EV plan by 3 years, return to hybrids and traditional engines. No longer the grand pronouncements about the electrochemical future, instead very old keywords: feeling, mechanics, drive. But the damage to trust is not easily repaired. In China, a market that once accounted for 1/3 of sales continued to decline by another 15%. In Europe, dealers report showroom traffic is down, but the number of people who take photos of the logo and then leave is up. A symbol that once made people dream is now a nostalgic memory. Blume is gone, but the question he left behind still echoes through the company's corridors. Can a brand innovate without losing its soul? Leiters makes no secret of it. We need to bring Porsche back to the driver's emotions, not just the numbers. The company is starting to cut R&D costs for electric vehicles and reinvest in driving experience and after-sales service. But this shift means publicly admitting failure, something Porsche has never done in modern history. The financial world coldly remarked, "Porsche is not losing because of EVs. They lost because they forgot who was behind the wheel." Customers no longer believe in the soul electrified slogan. They want to hear the real engine sound again, the roar that made the whole world recognize Porsche among thousands of brands. But to get that sound back, the company had to make a trade-off: time, money, and most of all, pride. In interviews, a recurring question is, if it's no longer an electric car, no longer a technological pioneer, what else is Porsche? A brand that once defined German precision now stands between two worlds. Returning to tradition, they fear being seen as outdated, and then they continued the electroplating, fearing they would lose their remaining souls. That's the dilemma not only Porsche, but the entire German automotive industry is facing. It's like the driver is standing at a crossroads. In front is a misty future. Behind are the tire tracks of memory. There's only one choice left: keep running or stop to remember who you are. In your opinion, what should a brand do when its legacy becomes a burden? Is it possible to be reborn without betraying the past? And then, in the silence of the crisis, Porsche realized something. Not everything can be electrified, especially emotions. But the journey to find that heart again, that is the final chapter of this story. For over 7 decades, Porsche hasn't just built cars, they've built emotions. But in the race against technology, somewhere along the way they forgot the most precious thing: their hearts. Porsche didn't lose because of electric cars, but because they lost touch with the very people who once believed in them unconditionally. This story isn't just about cars, it's about every business that was once confident customers would never leave them. When you're too busy optimizing numbers, you forget that a brand doesn't run on batteries, but on trust, memories, and emotions. No software can recreate that. So in your opinion, if a brand is at a crossroads between tradition and the future, which direction should they choose? Hold back your emotions, accept slowing down? Why run forward even if it means leaving your soul behind? Please share your perspective in the comments section. We want to hear the answer from you, the people who are driving, dreaming, or simply following that car from afar. If you want to continue exploring the stories behind seemingly invincible brands, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to stay updated on the latest investigative reports. This video is compiled from public sources, financial analysis, and community commentary for informational and educational purposes. All data, images, and quotes are presented from an independent analytical perspective and do not represent or accuse any organization or individual. Thank you for staying with me until the end. See you in the next videos.